Go.
Good morning, Top Fan Rivalry listeners. I am Jackson, and I'm here with Bill, and it is the weekly review.
Woo! Yes, it
Woo!
is the weekly review, Jackson. And to jump us off, Jackson, last week this box break thing has just been going crazy for Top Fan. And so last week we decided to issue a box break club. 27 bucks a month. You get your team twice in two club breaks. You get a $5 discount. And you get early access to any other breaks that we do, which we're launching our break in a couple of hours with Mike over at Heads Up Sports Card. But you know what? We already have six teams or six or seven teams already gone because of the early stuff. So, Jackson, this is starting to get fun, starting to get
Yeah,
real
I
fun.
mean, we should be on the 2025 cards by now, huh?
I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. All right, Mr. Jackson, let's just dive right into it. We had the Tokyo series. I'm gonna make mention of a few things, but Jackson, start us off with number one.
I mean, yeah, the Tokyo series happened. MLB's been doing this every year, and I'm going to tell you my opinions on it. It had really big viewership in Japan. I think MLB should expand it next year. And I've actually had a discussion with my dad yesterday, and I'm going to tell you what my marketing pitch is for the MLB. They had 25 million
What?
viewers, which is just as good as Game 7 of the 2017 World Series. So that's a lot of people, you know, but they should expand it to maybe six, maybe eight teams and just have them kind of play that little round robin and eliminate the spring training after you play in Tokyo. Have those teams play each other, or, you play two other teams out in Tokyo, and then you get your days off, and then you resume by playing one of the other teams from Tokyo. So everyone's an even grounding, and then you can just hit the ground running into the season. What do you think, Bill?
I like it. Here's the two things that frustrated me about Tokyo Series. Now, I love the fact that it was there, and I'm going to mention it in some of my one through five. Um, the first thing that frustrates me is the fact that I feel like the Dodgers get picked on a lot with it. Last year it was Korea, this year it was Tokyo. That's a very, very long flight, and it gets very, very willy wonky for clubs. It gets very weird for clubs. Um, and then number two, and I like your idea. Number two is I hate the fact that we have so many days off, and then we play the Angels in games that don't matter. So it should be the start of the season and officially the start of the season. And so,
Yeah, I just say add more teams, play in two, maybe like two cities that are close together, and just bounce off each other. You play four, 6 games maybe, and then you hit the season, you hit the ground running against a team that just rested, from Tokyo as well, and then you can literally just transition right into the regular season, and it's no big deal. I think it's great. I think MLB should capitalize on it and really try to get more teams. I do think they picked the Dodgers obviously because of the Japanese marketability. But could you imagine, if they got other teams out there, you know, you can get Seattle out there. You basically pick and choose what teams you want to market to the foreign markets because if you put a team out there to play, it's going to pick up some fans. It's going to pick up some media attraction in Japan. They're just that baseball crazed that I think, they could really use this as an opportunity to promote, those mid-market teams that are good, that have superstars. Like
no,
teams like Kansas City would be perfect candidates, make Bobby Witt Jr. big in Japan.
I listen, I was watching a documentary recently, and in that documentary, they had said when Michael Jordan came into the NBA basically had a front of fans in 80 different countries. When he left the NBA, they had fans in 213 countries. So my argument is definitely, yeah, if you do that, I'm totally for it. I love it. Uh, that makes total sense, right? That makes total sense. But um, yeah, it's just I just don't like the travel. I don't like the fact that the teams come back. Chicago comes back to Arizona and plays a bunch of spring training games and then opens up against Arizona for actual real, right? And then
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that the Dodgers, I mean, we'll talk about this in a second, but I don't like the travel. That's the only part that I don't like.
Yeah.
And
If you're gonna do it again, do more teams so you can just set teams on even playing field just to start the season. You get those nice intense games out of the way at the beginning. You get your rest to acclimate back home, and then you're ready to go. It's the start of the season.
right, right. So, um, yeah, I like your pitch. We'll call the commissioner, see if we can get him on the phone. Sports desk. Hold on a second. Get our sports desk. Get the commission on the phone, Jackson. Stuff. Get us.
Yeah. And while I'm there, I'll also petition for Roberto Clemente's number to be retired league wide. But he might hang he
Jackson's
might he might he
Jackson's
might he might hang up on me on that one. So
Jackson's on a roll. Everybody. All right, you spoke about the Tokyo series. I'll speak about the Tokyo series, but dot dot dot. Not yet. I'm going to talk about schedules. We've talked about this before, but I took a little deeper dive into the scheduling process. Some teams are very get a ton of games off early on and then have very, very weak schedules at the end. Some get some days off at the beginning, but have very difficult schedules at the end. So you can compare Detroit's and Kansas City's schedules at the end, the last 12 games. Detroit plays in their last 12 games, I believe, um, Cleveland six times and Toronto. Like they've got a really difficult end of the season while Kansas City plays Anaheim and Oakland or Anaheim and Sacramento. And so
hey, hey, hey,
there's
hey. I picked the A's to make the playoffs. That's a
no, I
difficult
get
end.
it. I get it. I know you slipped on the banana peel. I get it. I understand. But here's another thing that I'm going to give you a couple more examples. I just mentioned that um, the Cubs fly to Arizona. They're going to play a couple more spring training games, and then they open up on Thursday against Arizona. So what I don't like, Dodgers fly home. They had Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. They play Sunday against the Angels, Monday, Tuesday. Then they have Wednesday off to travel from Anaheim to LA. Everybody, that's about a 40-mile drive. That's it. That's not a flight. That's a 40. If you take a flight, it will take you longer to get from each airport than it would to, anyways. You can take a flight, but it's
Unironically, train might be the fastest form of travel.
exactly unironically. But
Unironically.
then they play after that. Then they play Detroit for three games. Then they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They have Sunday off, and then they play three games, and then they have Thursday off, and then they play six more games, and they have another Thursday off. It's crazy. Make
And then
matters worse,
they probably play like 28 in a row after that for some reason.
something like that. So then, Jackson, remind me the distance between Washington D.C. and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I mean, if you drove and there's traffic, maybe 4 hours, but like if you flew, it's probably less than an hour.
Okay, less than an hour,
Easily,
right?
easily. I think I've flown that. I think it's 30 minutes.
There there you go. And so the Washington Nationals open up on Thursday at home against the Philadelphia Phillies. They play Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So they need a day off in between there. And then Philadelphia goes home and starts their homestand on Monday against Colorado. Why do we need a day off? Why do we need Thursday, dot, 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 Saturday, Sunday? I don't understand
Yeah.
it.
You know, I haven't been a big fan of the schedule since they went to the balance schedule for reasons like this. I feel like that the algorithm they use to write the schedule now, it used to be hand done for those of you that don't know, by a couple who did it all in their heads. I and out on a table. Don't know how they did that. It just seems really difficult to me to do that for 30 teams. But now they use an algorithm. Everybody has to play everybody, and you have to schedule these teams out. And sometimes I think it's really I don't want to use the word dumb. I think counterproductive to have all these rest days early on in the season because
Counterproductive is a good word, but dumb is also not a bad word either.
yeah, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say counterintuitive because
Counterintuitive.
when these guys need the rest, it's in July and August and September when they just need that one day off in the week. You know, when the playoff race is heating up. And look, I don't know why. It, like you said, Cleveland six times in your last 12 games. You should not be playing your division rival six times in your last 12 games when you only play them 13 times. I'm sorry. This happens way too much with the balance schedule. I think the balance schedule is it undermines divisional baseball. Let me put it this way for you guys. Back in the day when you played your division, 19 times or whatever, your division games mattered. You played teams in your league more, and interleague was just a small little part. And I know it's sad that Shohei Ohtani doesn't get to go to Yankee Stadium and play against Aaron Judge every year, or Aaron Judge doesn't get to go down. I don't care. The games in your league and the games in your division should matter more than your interleague games, and that's a fact.
Preach. Preach.
because because the two leagues play each other at the end of the year, and you know, and I don't like giving the NFL credit because I'm not a huge fan of the NFL. But the NFL does it right. You only play four teams from the other conference.
Yeah.
It's very limited in the scope of how many games you play across. And I think that's a good way to do it because it really makes the games in your conference matter most, especially when all the tiebreakers are based off in division and in league records. You should be playing
So
more of those games. They matter more.
so here's the thing that is frustrating is baseball not only is changing its rules, but it's changing how it's being played. Why can't we just go back to the National League plays the National League, the American League plays the American League, and you meet in the playoffs? And the only games that you play that are interleague are crosstown, quote unquote, rivals. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
and just
Colorado and San Diego I mean, they would already play each other, but Angels, Dodgers, White Sox, Cubs, Yankees, Mets, like uh, Kansas City, St. Louis. Why not do that?
I mean that even just like the wild card era uh interleague where it was like you get one 6 or 7 game homestand and one 6 or 7 game road series. And it was easy because they would just
Right.
schedule them close together and it makes it easy for both teams to know that you're not going out of your way to play interleague. But nowadays it just feels like, oh, now you got to go play Boston. Oh, but now you got to go play the teams in your league. So now fly all the way out to Arizona and play away. It's ridiculous how many times they make them beam back and forth. Especially it's like, do teams from, like do Philadelphia and Atlanta really need to go play the A's and the Angels every season out on the West Coast? No,
They don't. They
no.
don't. But they do it because they think it attracts more fans.
Yeah, they do it for obviously the revenue streams. And I hear this argument always. The schedule is more fair. And let me tell you, the schedule's never not more fair because there are teams who get to play teams like the White Sox every year. So
Mhm.
no matter how you slice you would be better off eliminating everyone getting to play the White Sox in just that division. Yeah, sure, it's easier for them to get to the playoffs, but they played a quarter of their wins against the White Sox. So are they really that good?
No,
Sorry,
no,
White Sox fans, I'm taking a shot at you, but this is just an example. Let me clarify the 2024 Chicago White Sox because I know they won't be that bad this year because they're going to have to try.
I don't know
They're
how
gonna
to say it.
they're
Okay,
gonna have
good deal.
they're gonna have to try to be that bad, ever be that bad
Okay,
again.
that there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. I was
Let,
like, they're gonna
let,
have
let,
to
let,
try.
let
I'm
me
thinking,
let me
yeah,
let me articulate that. To be that bad again, you would have to try. Someone would intentionally have to try to be bad to be as bad as the White Sox from last season.
yeah. I was sitting there going, Jackson, I think they try anyways, brother. Come on now. But
I know the players try. It's the upper management I'm worried about.
yeah. Okay, Jackson, what do you got for number two before we get ourselves in a lot of trouble here?
Uh, you know, I'll jump back to the Tokyo series.
Okay.
Uh, and I'll talk about a pitcher that everybody was really hyped about. Roki Sasaki. Uh, I mean, he throws hard, has good secondary stuff, but he could not find the strike zone, and I think the Cubs really bailed him out in that second game by not capitalizing. He walked in a run. I think he's a really raw. A lot of people have come in and they're like he's gonna win, being top 10 of the Cy Young finishing. I don't think so. He's a young pitcher, still trying to find his way in the MLB. I think he's going to struggle for the first little portion of the season. Not to say that he will never be good, but there are going to be teams that are going to punish you for walking batters because in today's baseball, walking batters is pretty much handing the team a free run. It feels like most days if you walk a lot of batters. So uh, the Dodgers definitely outplayed the Cubs, but I think the Cubs definitely didn't do themselves any favors in Game 2 by not capitalizing on Sasaki's poor command, especially in the inning where he walked in a run. I think he walked Kyle Tucker with the bases loaded.
Yeah,
I remember. Really.
yeah, it's so yes, Roki. So there's a couple things about Roki that people don't realize. Number one, he's young, right?
Yeah,
He's not Yamamoto. He's a lot younger than that. Number two, he this is his first year in the MLB. He had a great spring training. But at the same time, that spring training um, kind of he had to go back to his home country and almost prove it. So Jackson, it would be it would be like you and I playing in the Japanese league and getting touted over there, making millions of dollars, and then playing for the Tokyo Giants. And next thing you know, we're opening up at Dodger Stadium. Me being home in my home area, my home turf for 2 games, I'd be pretty jacked too. So I blame it more on the hometown jitters than anything else. Than
yeah,
anything else.
I agree with that, but I also think you know obviously for those of you that don't know that the NPB, the Japanese Baseball League, uses a different baseball. Uh, it's very much a dead ball over there. So I just think he is going to struggle. Most pitchers come over and struggle. Yamamoto struggled for a couple months, but he was good enough last year to kind of show why he got a $300 million contract. But most guys come out of the gate and struggle. I'm just saying, don't put the expectation on Roki to be some sort of world beater this year.
No,
This is definitely a future investment for the Dodgers. He will be good. The question is when. He could put it together next week, and I have my foot in my mouth. But I'm just saying, a lot of people are on this hype train, that he's really good, and then there's the haters, obviously, that are saying he's really bad. I'm gonna say he's somewhere in between.
okay,
I guess is the point I'm trying to make. But nonetheless, I think you're right. I think there some nerves involved, but I'm going to credit him for getting out of the jam and you know making sure the Cubs didn't execute. They were very poor against what he was throwing that night.
yeah, yeah, that's good. I'm gonna jump on your bandwagon here, which is sometimes what we do in this show, everybody, is we jump on each other's bandwagon. So you mentioned that Roki was struggling. I'm gonna mention the value and the fact that we need to bring back small ball into baseball. And I'm gonna use two examples. Number one, the Dodgers are down 1-0. They get their first two batters on via walk in game one. Will Smith, Max Muncy. Then they proceed to strike out and fly out twice. Um, Dodgers are good enough offensively where that didn't hurt them that early on. But why are we not bunting the next batter and making it second and third, putting the pressure on Imanaya? There's one example. The second example that I can use is you just mentioned the Cubs bailing out Roki. Roki walks in a run. You're now down 3-1, no outs. If I'm Craig Counsell, I don't care who's at bat, and I don't care how wild he is. I would say to to the batter, take a pitch until you get a strike. Once you get us to get his pitch count up, once you get a strike, I don't care where the next pitch is, throw your bat at it and lay it down the third baseline. Let's force a run in because the infield was playing back. If you can get it past the pitcher, you're going to get a run scored. Then that's going to get in the Dodgers' head. Okay, crap. Now we got the bases loaded. Nobody out. We're up 3-2. What do we do in this scenario? and Roki, I'm sorry, they had one out. What did Roki do after the meeting of the mound? He struck out the next two batters. You got to intensify that small ball and take advantage of it. Jackson, tell me I'm wrong.
I agree with you. I hate that the bunt is dead in baseball. I hope it continues to make its comeback because situations like that are perfect for the bunt. You catch the infield back because the way the game when a pitcher's struggling, the last thing he wants to do is feel the ball to his right.
Mhm.
You know, you talk about playing a mind game with the pitcher. You put a good enough bunt down, and the runner gets a good enough break towards home. The pitcher's going to have to try to set a seat, and he's going to try to make this spectacular throw to first base. Maybe he throws it in the right field. You get 2, 3 runs out of that, easy. So
Easy.
I agree with you. I think small ball is going to be the name of the game this year for MLB. I think uh, it's a different point for me that I'll bring up later. But the three true outcome hitter, I think its time is coming to an end because teams are realizing that it's cheaper to. It's weird siding with the organizations for being cheap, but cheaper to have guys who have rounded skill sets who can put the ball in play and move runners over and steal bases. It's cheaper to do that than sit around and wait for the 200 hitter to belt a 2 run home run and hope that's enough. So
Yeah.
I think small ball's definitely on the uptick, and I think this year's going to be you're going to see the really athletic teams really start to, I think, abuse this pick off rule. Well, not abuse it. I think take advantage of it is a better word of it. Where guys who are bad at holding runners on are going to get punished, and I think it's until we get another couple of years into this where pitchers are kind of used to teams are going to run rampant, and I'm here for it. Take your extra base.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
As someone who's had Kenley Jansen on their team, he takes forever to get set. So if he's going to take forever to throw the ball to the plate, by all means, waltz on in the second base. He deserves it.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. All right, Jackson, before we get too far into the show, we got to mention this box break thing again. Okay. So here's the thing. Everybody that started enjoying the box breaks, they were doing quite well with them. We were pulling some great cards. In fact, Jackson, in our first ever club break, we pulled an autograph. Ready? Dennis Eckersley autograph.
Ooh.
Going to Audrey on an all-star card. Um, uh, with the product that we had out there. It was fantastic. Now, we try to make it easier on you. Here's what we're doing. It's called the 27 ounce club. There's already 8 teams that are gone, so you can't get those 8 teams. You sign up for it. It's 27 bucks a month. Okay, hits at the first part of the month, $27. That guarantees you in 2 club breaks your team. So Jackson, you're a Braves fan, and the Braves actually are still open. So I'll use that as an example. If you wanted to get into the club, it's 27 bucks. You guarantee the Braves. Then you get a $5 off coupon every month to do whatever you want with, get into another box break, whatever. Each team in the club box breaks are only 10 bucks. Straight across the board, $10 for each team. So if there's another team that you wanted because we announced a product that you were excited about, well, then you can get it for $5. Okay. You get priority shipping where we're going to hold the cards, we're going to send them out to you either with another order, or we're going to send them to you at the end of the month, whichever comes first. And you get priority into each box break that we do. So when we announce a box break on Friday, today, it's already been announced to the club members and they've already purchased some of their team. Jackson,
Yeah,
how cool is that?
I think it's great. You like if you like opening baseball card packs, but you don't have the money to rip a full box. This is definitely for you.
This is definitely the way to do it.
This is
Exactly.
this is the way to
And,
do it.
and
Trust me. I get the urge to pack open every once in a while. It's fun. That's
so,
what it is.
so Jackson, I got to tell you, Mike over at Heads Up Sports Cards earlier this week ripped a 2019, yeah, 2019 Heritage High number. And guess what he gets?
What?
Autograph Arson Judge.
Ooh,
The guy that bought, so the way that Mike did that one was it was $5 for every team where you can buy, a certain number of teams for. So the guy spent $30, bought 6 teams, got that card. That card right now is selling as an auto is selling on eBay for $550.
wow.
It's huge. That's huge.
It's huge.
So, Jackson, what do you got for number three?
Number three, you know, I'm going to talk about a team that's probably going to play a lot of small ball. I think I'm going to transition from, piggybacking off your last point. Let's talk about the Miami Marlins for a minute. Um, it may not be a
Okay.
pleasant conversation, but we're going to talk about them nonetheless. They got in trouble this week for
Okay.
trying to circumnavigate the collective bargaining agreement by hiring a practice squad to play against their major league squad.
Yes, they did.
Um,
They did.
this is a new low for a team that already skirts the very bottom of the barrel of spending. Yeah, they receive a lot of revenue sharing. They only have $86 million in payroll this year, according to Fangraphs. They're supposed to spend 150% of what they receive in revenue sharing, which according to MLB is $70 million. Um, so the Marlins, and the Rays to an extent, are not really hyping up baseball in Florida. And I think this is going to be a really big year for the Marlins. They made some trades last year to get some, major league ready kind of young guys to try to build their young core. And if this fails and ownership doesn't put any money into this, I don't
Right.
like saying this word. The Marlins might be out of Florida. As weird as it sounds, because the fans are not going to support a team who don't put money into it. They made the playoffs in 2023. They have one player from that lineup from that night, and it's Jesus Sanchez. So, um, the Marlins to me, it's really just they've only been good twice, really, in their entire franchise history, and they won the World Series both years, which is wild that they even have two World Series. But to me, it's really just kind of a Miami being this hub for Latin players and Florida being a baseball state. They play a lot of baseball in Florida. To me, it's a travesty that the Marlins every year are just written off because they choose to not spend any money on their product. Tell me I'm wrong, Bill.
You're not. You're not. In fact, I talked to somebody that's in Miami, and they had a very, very similar opinion. In fact, they felt as though Miami is probably going to lose their team, and that Tampa Bay, because of stadium issues, this individual went so far to say that Florida will probably lose baseball, and when they lose baseball, it'll be very similar to Montreal, where it'll be a significant a significant period of time before it comes back again. Apparently, where the Marlins Stadium is at, it's not easy to get to. They're lucky if they draw 5,000 fans per game right now, and they've got some issues, and I don't want to. I mean, this is going to sound silly, Jackson, but run with me here for a second. I think it's the curse of Jeter. Jeter had a lot of ideas, a lot of very, very good ideas of what they could do with the franchise and could merge ownership with players and he could be a big draw down in Florida. And when they pushed him out, that was almost ownership saying, "No, we got this." How's that work sense?
I mean, to be fair, Jeter is one of the driving forces that traded Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees. Um,
And how's it working out for the Yankees? The dude's on the IL half the
well,
time now.
how did it work out for the Marlins? They got nothing in return from trading Real Muto, from trading Christian Yelich, from trading. I mean, the only trade that really worked out was that trade of Marcelo Zuna, because they were able to get Zach Gallen back, who they then flipped for Jazz Chisholm, who then they then traded, and who knows if the guys that they traded for in that trade are going to be any good. So to
I
me, I think the Marlins really need to evaluate. They always draft under slot bonus value in the draft, which is really petty to me. Come on, pay these draft picks what they're worth. Draft real players that are going to help your team. Penny pinching in the draft and penny pinching in the international free agency is to me is laughable as an organization, because that's where you get all your young talent.
true,
Hoping and praying that the five good players you develop every couple of years get you the prospects you need to win
true,
is a
true,
horrible strategy.
true. Jackson,
And
I couldn't agree with you
it,
more.
it
Go ahead.
this season just feels like they're going to see if Sandy Alcantara has it, and if he pitches well, he's gone at the deadline. And for who? You know?
Yeah,
The Marlins never make a trade where you're like, wow, the Marlins bagged a couple of top prospects. It doesn't really feel like that. But I mean, they traded Jesus Luzardo for Starling Cava from the Phillies, who's a 19-year-old shortstop. He could be good or he could be bad because he's only 19, you know?
yeah.
These are the types you can't trade major league ready talent for lottery tickets.
Yes, true. But you have six and one, half dozen another, right? You got to look at what you can put on the field for what you can afford to put on, right? And this is there used to be a game that I used to play called Presidents with some friends. It's a lot like Hearts, right? You try to get rid of your cards, and you have four positions. You have a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a scrub, right? The scrub passes his two very best cards to the president. The secretary passes his two best cards to the vice president to start the game out, and then the president passes whatever he wants to the other one, and vice president whatever. Once you're sitting in the presidential chair, so to speak, in this game, it's very hard to get knocked off unless you're not paying attention. It's very, very difficult to get knocked off, and it um, reminds me a lot of Major League Baseball in a sense. When you're at the top of your game, players want to come to you. Players are excited about coming to your club, right? Um, some players want to be, hey, Jackson Westfall, um, uh, hey, Jackson Westfall, and the Toronto Blue Jays are coming to town, right? Some players want that. Other players do not. They want to just be like, hey, the Jackson Westfall and the Toronto Blue Jays are coming to town, but I play for the Blue Jays. I'm good, right? And so it's really, really hard to attract good talent when you're bad for so long. And you can't throw out. I mean, the Marlins weren't going to pay Juan Soto. They weren't. They were never going to be able to afford that. And if they did, they would be terrible for that 12 or 13 years because they can't build around them. It's hard to build an organization around 5,000 fans a game.
Yeah, I agree with that, but having it cutting costs on your scouting and your development, which would get you more fans and get you better young players, to me is
Mhm.
inexcusable.
No, 200%, Jackson,
There-
200%. It's just annoying to me that because it, they've
I'm not saying they need to go outside Vlad Guerrero Jr. this offseason. I'm saying they need to evaluate as an organization how they manage their young talent
preach, sir, preach.
and where they get it from. That's my biggest problem with this because it kind of seems like they don't want to be in Miami anymore and they're trying to find a way out by
Yeah,
keeping the team bad enough that they're trying to get under. They're playing the John Fisher with the athletics card where, oh, woe is me, nobody comes to my games, build me a shiny new stadium somewhere else
yeah,
where
yeah.
people will pay to see it and then I can sell the team for a profit. It's like, come on.
Okay, so Jackson, my number three. Did you watch any of the Tokyo series by chance?
I did. I watched like 5 innings at game one and then a couple innings at game two. My son just kept waking up really early, guys. So and he can watch baseball for a little bit and he goes, all done, daddy.
Yep. And
I,
you're like,
I want bre-
no.
I want breakfast. And I'm like, okay, buddy, let's go eat.
You're like, nah, the game's still on. The game's still on.
Yeah. But
Um, so I had heard rumors. I have yet to confirm it that the Dodgers have a new signing out of the Tokyo series. Do you know who that is?
who?
The Dodgers have signed Rodney Pete to a 1 year deal. No, I'm teasing. Uh, the the one thing about the Tokyo series is it was fun to see who decided to go. And it was fun to see. You mentioned this earlier, and I told you we'd circle back. You mentioned this earlier with how many fans watched it, but it was fun to see who went to the game. And it's not about the celebrity style, but it was fun to see little kids. It was fun to see them get excited about the home run balls and the foul balls, and it was just fun to see the energy in that building. I've never been to the Tokyo Dome. I hope to go someday, but it was just fun to watch that. Can I just say that?
Yeah. I agree with you. I'll reiterate it. I think spreading the game overseas through Japan is probably the best way to do it through Asia. And I think the MLB also probably needs to capitalize on Latin America a lot more because
Yeah.
they love baseball. They're just like us. They'll sit like go watch Dominican Winter League baseball. They'll sit in the hot, humid, you know, it's like 90 degrees at night. It's hot and it's humid, and they're out there watching baseball, man.
Out there watching baseball. There you
I've
go.
been there. I've done that. So I think it's good for the game. We talked about it earlier. They just need to structure it better so it rolls into the regular season better.
100%. 100%. Um, okay, that was my simple number three. Now, Jackson, we got about 25 minutes left of the show. Give me your number four.
Number four, it wouldn't be uh top fan rivalry weekly review without Jackson mentioning the Braves. Um, the Braves made a couple of depth signings this week. They signed Alex Verdugo, who will probably start in AAA, and they brought back Craig Kimbrell. So, uh, welcome to the jungle. May blast once again in Atlanta. But I like these signings as depth pieces. You know, and for everyone who's saying Craig Kimbrell is washed, I'm sorry, Craig Kimbrell isn't 2010 Craig Kimbrell anymore. But last year, he was a lot better than what his numbers showed. He ran out of gas in the second half. You got to remember this guy's 36, turning 37. You can't jog him out for every game like the Braves used to do at 2010 when he threw like 90 games and faded down the stretch there. But he still misses bats. He had a 31% strikeout rate last year, a whiff rate of 30%, and those are both in the upper percentiles. He didn't get a lot of guys to chase, which is really good that he got a lot of guys that missed then. So I think Kimbrel's going to be an intriguing sighting for the Braves. I'm not expecting him to turn into, Hall of Famer Craig Kimbrel again, but don't be surprised if the Braves make Craig Kimbrel a good reliever again, is what I'm saying.
So I saw both of these signings, and I was waiting to see if you were going to bring it up because it was going to be part of my honorable
Uh,
mention. I love I the Alex Verdugo one I can take or leave. And I
yeah,
think Alex is learning that you might want to slice up a little bit of the humble pie and take a few bites. Because he's left a lot of piles behind him, right? Um, both in
I agree.
Boston, in New York, and so it tells you something. Do I think Alex Verdugo is going to play in the MLB this season with the Braves? Of course I do. Of course I do.
Yeah, with how many injuries occurred with normal teams, a team like the Braves will probably give him a fair shake at the major league level.
Well, I think it's more than that. I think it's just a roster move. I think it's just them figuring out who they really want in their 26 man. So Alex will start for a week or two down in AAA, and then he'll get that phone call and he'll be back. Uh,
I think, well, if you want the full Braves fan opinion, I think it's put a little pressure on Jared Kelnick, who was good for stretches of last season, but bad for other stretches. I think this is really kind of just to light another fire under him. They will be platooning out in left field to start the season with Brian De La Cruz probably, or right field, I think, because Profar is playing left. So it'll be really interesting to see. I've also seen Jerkson Profar playing shortstop and then putting Verdugo in the outfield, which also intrigues me. But we'll have to see. I like the depth moves. It baseball's all about roster flexibility when they're not you're starting nine.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's depth, but when you got a guy like Alex Verdugo in the minors, you don't keep him there. You make sure that you understand where your guys are at, and then you bring them up. He may not
Yeah,
play every day right away, but
yeah. I
he
know
will
he was
not
bad.
be.
He wasn't good for the Yankees last year, but his previous 3 seasons he was pretty good. So
Yeah, he will
people shouldn't
not
be
be
surprised.
in AAA at the end of April. If he's in AAA at the end of April, you guys got a problem.
Yeah, or maybe a really good problem because that means Kelnick's probably hitting like 500.
maybe maybe a really good problem to have.
Yeah, all the outfielders have 20 home runs at the end of April. Can't call them up. Sorry.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here, Jackson. Before I go on that rant, though, I'm just gonna remind everybody real quick, as Jackson and I do this show, we're always gonna mention either our sponsors or something new that we're doing. Don't forget about the box breaks, everybody, and particularly don't forget about the 27 Out Club. This is a way for Top Fan Rivalry to bring you box breaks at a discounted price. Trust me, believe me when I tell you that if you are a fan of specific teams, just getting in two box breaks, it might cost you double the amount of money that you would spend just in the 27 ounce club. So make sure that you're in the 27 ounce club. Jackson, I'm gonna make a statement that you and I had talked about last year.
All right.
And we've talked about this a lot on camera, off camera. Umpires are there to do a job. They're not there to insert themselves in the game. And you saw that in the Tokyo series a little bit, and they may have been a little jacked up themselves too. But you saw it in game one with the home plate umpire. I think it was Bill Miller, but I don't remember who was behind there. Really kind of giving it to Yamamoto and calling time and pointing to his eyes and saying that, and just really kind of asserting his authority there, which kind of you could kind of tell was throwing guys off a bit. Didn't like that. Um, also, don't like the the only thing I think should ever be reviewed in Major League Baseball is home runs, right? I love the human factor of the balls and strikes being missed. I love the human, even if they go against my team, I love the human factor of players stealing a base and the umpires getting it wrong. I love that human factor side of it. But I hate to say this, but Shohei Ohtani's home run was not a home run.
That was going to be in my honorable mentions if you didn't bring it up. I was going to say
Yeah,
congrats for
and
Shohei for
so
his first one of his two doubles.
now, yes, now you mentioned the NFL before. The
Oh yeah.
NFL, once you make a call in the field, it's really hard to overturn it because they're trying to keep the human factor still there. The call in the field was a home run. The fan obviously reached over the railing, uh, reminiscent of playoffs with the Yankees and Orioles several years ago. Uh,
I saw somebody comment where Moises Alou was these
yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah. And so it was, anyways, I just don't want to see the umpires insert themselves in the games too much. Yes, get the call right as the best as you can, but you're there to do a job. We should never know what your name is. We should never be able to say Angel Hernandez or Stevie Buckner, because that's a bad thing, right? Unless you're doing public speaking tours and you're writing books and people now know who you are, that's fine.
Or you ump every World Series because you're so good. You're like,
Yeah,
oh hey, it's
or
that
you
guy.
ump every World Series because you're so good. That's fine. But hey, you get the point, Jackson. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, what bothers me about the video review is it was fan interference and they let it stand. And I know why. It's an Otani home run at the Tokyo Dome and the
yep,
Japanese fans were going crazy.
yep.
But MLB needs to avoid following the NFL in that suit. Do not let the storylines consume your game. That's
Preach. Mic
that's
drop.
that's my statement on video replay. Because let me tell you, I don't know where it was based out for the Tokyo series, but it's always based out of New York. And being a Braves fan, it always seems like the Braves get the short end of the stick on the video replay because I swear they always have the Mets fan watching the Braves game. It's a
Nobody knows the troubles I've seen.
oh I've seen it go against Philadelphia too when Philadelphia's playing, you know, against other teams
Nobody
too.
knows my
It goes against,
sorrow.
yeah. It's just like it's ridiculous that it's this object. Oh, the umpires in the field are too objective and they miss calls. So we're gonna give it to this guy in the booth who's gonna watch a video and then be like, this is what I think. It's like no. You just need to tell me if the umpire is right or wrong.
Nobody knows Jackson's sorrows.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. So uh, when it comes to when we're talking about MVPs later in the season, I will be subtracting one home run from Shohei Otani's total. I'm sorry, Shohei, I don't make the rules. Um,
Shohei says, wait. I think that means don't do it, but somebody translate that for us at the sports desk, please? I don't know what Hoyt means, but just let's translate it. Jackson, take us to the number five.
my number five, I'm going to talk about a true outcome player. Joey Gallo has retired as a hitter, and he wants to come back as a pitcher. Bill, um,
I heard this.
uh, I don't know if he thinks himself to be the reverse Rick Ankiel or something like that, but this to me is it's a puzzling move. But in honor of Joey Gallo, let me tell you something I've learned somebody else did the research. So, but it was something I read about how Joey Gallo is the third worst qualified hitter batting average wide in Major League history. Uh, but he's the only one with an OPS of 775. um, so it's just it's astonishing. Somebody said that Cy Young has more hits than Joey Gallo, um, which to me is wild to think that Cy Young has more hits than Joey Gallo. But uh, I hope it turns out okay for Joey Gallo. He had a cannon of an arm, so I don't doubt that he can throw hard. But Joey, let me remind you, it's a lot more than throwing hard to pitch.
I hear Lou Brown in my head. Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that's the problem. Every major league hitter wants the heater.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
that
only.
is the
It's the
problem.
only pitch that doesn't move. That's all they
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh, best of luck, Joey Gallo. You know, who knows? Maybe you're a, a Cy Young pitcher, and if you can do it, maybe you can show Shohei Ohtani how the two-way player thing is done. No, I couldn't finish that
Ouch,
sentence.
ouch. Jackson,
Finish it.
that was almost a mic drop in the store or in the show. Like everybody, Top Fan Rivalry endorses Jackson, and most things that's not one of them that we're gonna endorse Jackson with. But Jackson, we appreciate it. Thanks for the
Can you put a disclaimer at the bottom that was a joke?
yeah. Disclaimer, Jackson's jokes.
Yes,
Friday,
but yeah.
March
So
21st.
keep an eye out for Joey Gallo, the pitcher. I think he's still going to be on the White Sox, or is he a free?
Yeah,
He might be a free. I think he's a free agent because the White Sox released him. I
yeah.
think it's out.
But listen, and pitching is more than just throwing hard, like you said. The one thing that Joey would have a good understanding of is sometimes hitters that aren't awesome make really good pitchers because they understand the strike zone and what a batter may think. So, I mean, I'm going to give him his flowers, but I just don't see it happen. So,
My counterpoint to that is he ABS challenged a strike right down the middle the other week, and I think that was the final nail in the coffin for his career as a hitter.
all right.
I
Um,
think the ABS was like, excuse me.
yeah. My number five is real simple. Baseball's back.
Oh yeah,
Baseball's back. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff that's going to be happening this season. A lot of exciting home runs, a lot of exciting stolen bases, a lot of exciting strikeouts. That it's back. The only disclaimer I make with baseball being back is simple. Um, Make sure that you let fans fan the way that they want to, right? I'm a huge Dodger fan. The Braves used to be the bane of my existence in the 80s, but I'm a good friend of Jackson's. Jackson's a good friend of me. We can agree on most things. Sometimes we'll give each other a little banter, but have fun with each other. Just don't take it to the next level. Baseball's back. Remember, it's these guys' jobs. It's our job to go to the games and watch it and enjoy ourselves. It's not our job to make it personal or even go fisticuffs with anybody. So
yes. Just remember the cardinal rule of life, Bill. Be excellent to everyone and partner.
that's right. Says Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan.
Yes. Where's the live by?
There you go. There you go. All right, Jackson, honorable mentions. Do you have any today?
Yeah, I have a couple. Durangelo, Sainja, the Mariners prospect, is a switch pitcher. You might see him in the major leagues this year. He throws 95 with his right hand, 92 with his left hand. So that's a fun and exciting gimmick. We haven't had one since Pat Bendett. Uh,
Tarantula.
what?
Tarantula. Tarantula with
Durangelo.
the
Yeah, Durangelo.
yeah. Tarantula with Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one is good luck in your lawsuit, Philadelphia Phillies. They are suing a analytics department for wanting to sell their software to other teams and their data. Um, this is going to be a fun one. The Phillies claim this is what their competitive edge is. As a competitor, I don't want the Phillies to have a competitive edge, but I think they do have a compelling argument. So good luck, Philadelphia. I hope you win because it means that other teams can win future lawsuits.
Yeah. That's
Help us
interesting.
out. Help us down the road. It's a very intriguing lawsuit. I'm not going to break it all down for you guys because it's a baseball podcast, not a legal podcast. So you can go look it up. There's plenty of articles on it, but it's a very interesting thing that might reshape how analytic departments operate if the Phillies lose.
Yeah, yeah. It, I also heard about that, and I thought, this is this is interesting that we're choosing to go this direction, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
as far as honorable mentions that I have, I actually have a shout out as an honorable mention. I got a shout out of somebody who's becoming a friend, Zach Manazian Sr. Um, wrote a book called Lasorda University. I talked to him this week. It's an excellent book, Jackson. Absolutely excellent book. And it basically, inside of this book, he talks about getting to know Tommy Lasorda, what it was like managing the Ogden Dodgers back in the 60s with Tommy Lasorda. Zach's got two sons that are GMs over at the Giants and over at the Dodgers. I'm sorry, the Angels. Um, but he's just a great guy. And if you love history and you love baseball and you love baseball history, this is the book for you. And Zach is such a kind-hearted, unassuming guy. And it's just a fun book to read. So shout out to my friend Zach Manassian. And,
All right.
and so that's my honorable mention for the week.
Great one.
So, Jackson, do you have anything else that you want to cover before we wrap up?
Yeah, on Thursday, nobody talked to me. Baseball's on.
This guy
I'm busy.
cut your hole.
I'm gonna disappear all next weekend. I'll be back. I promise. I'll be here for the weekly review, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Everybody just
other than that, do not contact.
yes, yes. Put it on do not disturb. So, all right, Jackson. As usual, we want to thank Bleacher Brothers Radio Network, AJ over at Bleacher Brothers for everything that they do. I'm so very excited. Um, and I'm excited about what goes next. I'm excited that next week when we do the weekly review, we'll be talking about games, we'll be talking about team matchups, we'll be talking about all things baseball. As they say, the long national nightmare is completed and over, Jackson. I'm
It
excited to
is.
bring it back. So
It is. It is baseball season. Who cares about the NFL and the NFL draft? It is baseball season.
it is baseball season, exactly. Jackson, have a good one. All Top Fan Rivalry friends, we'll be back next week. Make sure you're clicking that subscribe button on YouTube, watching these weekly reviews. And again, hats off to AJ over at Bleacher Brothers Radio Network for putting us on. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
guys soon.